Huh?
Good morning, everyone. This is Julie McDonald with Microcom Technologies, and I would like to thank all of you for attending today's webinar with Grandstream. Today's host is Phil Bowers. He is their Senior Marketing Manager, and he'll be presenting today. If anyone has any questions, please feel free to submit them in the question box, and I will ask them to Phil at the end of today's presentation. Phil, thank you so much for your time and your presentation for us this morning. I am done for now. Why don't you go ahead and take it on over?
Sounds good. Thanks, Julie. Thanks for setting this up as always, and glad to be back with all of you for our, well, I don't know if it's monthly, for this maybe every 6 weeks, maybe every month, where I get a chance to kind of present for all of you and give you a little bit of an update on what we're doing over here at Grandstream, kind of what's new, what's in the pipeline. So today's webinar, we're going to focus mainly on our GXP 1760W, which is the phone you see on the left there. I'll go into a little bit more details about this. It's a member of our GXP 1700 series of mid-range phones that we've had out on the market for, I believe, just about 2 years. That this specific model is kind of a newer model. It is available through Microcom. We kind of, frankly, have not officially announced it, though it is, obviously, it's been out there for just over a year at this point. And then the rest of the webinar, I'm going to talk about some new updates to our GWN series of Wi-Fi access points and routers, some new features and functionalities we've added to the access points, and then I'm going to wrap up by talking about GWN Cloud, which you see over there, the logo for it. That is our brand new cloud Wi-Fi management platform that will be officially announced tomorrow. Though it has essentially been available since February for free and open beta testing. Tomorrow we're just officially announcing its availability. So without further ado, let's get started. And as I mentioned, I'm going to start with the GXP 1760W. I'm actually going to start with this slide and then go back to the one that you just saw. So what this phone is I'm sure many of you are familiar with our GXP 1700 series of mid-range IP phones, made up of the 1760, the 1780, and the 1782. The 1760 being a 6-line phone with 3 SIP accounts, the 1780 models being 8-line phones with 4 SIP accounts. So just towards the end of last year, actually it was the middle of last year, we developed a new model for this series. The 1760W is what we call it. And it is a Wi-Fi enabled IP phone. The initial, you see the little Banco do Brazil logo down there. This product was initially developed actually for a project we were working on with Banco Brazil down in throughout Brazil, in which they were looking to move their office to a completely, more or less a completely wireless office, including their voice communication. So they were looking for a pretty sturdy, mid-range to high-end IP phone that had all of the traditional features and functionality of a desktop IP phone, but one that could work on a Wi-Fi signal. And that is essentially exactly what we designed here with the GXP 1760W. It has been basically available since the end of last year. From the marketing side, we never actually officially announced it, although it is out there. There have been tens of thousands of units that have been deployed around the world. Banco Brazil specifically has deployed close to, I believe, 30 to 40,000 units of this. So the product is out there. It's available through Microcom. And again, what it is a mid-range Wi-Fi IP phone. It is, in addition to our IP video phones, the GXV series, which both support Wi-Fi, and all future models will support Wi-Fi as well. This is what I would call our, we'll call it the, what is the word that I'm looking for here? This is your most, in terms of if you're looking for a wireless IP phone that is not a, small handheld corded device, this is the best option. And frankly, you're going to see, not just from Grandstream, but one of the best options out there on the market. You're actually going to see in the near future us go in the direction of offering more Wi-Fi IP phones as well. Some of you may have caught wind to the current beta test that we have going on right now for our, what we're going to call a WP800. It is essentially not essentially, it is a cordless handheld Wi-Fi phone. Think a decked phone, but it works on a Wi-Fi signal. That's essentially what it is. That phone has had one of the most successful and popular beta tests for any product that we've ever released. We're getting tons of interest from that product from our partners, as well as, and actually specifically, service providers worldwide. So this 1760W was kind of the first, and we'll call them the traditional IP phone options that work on a Wi-Fi signal. This has integrated dual band Wi-Fi, in addition to all of the other features you see there on the right that you're accustomed to from our IP phones. Going forward, you'll see more Wi-Fi phones from us, specifically that handheld WP800 that I mentioned. So the reason why I decided to kind of lead off with this is, other than the fact that we haven't really covered it in any of these webinars, this product just won, actually last week, the 2018 ITSPA Award for Best VoIP Device. The ITSPA, for those of you that might not be familiar with it, it's actually based in the UK. Stands for the Internet Telephony Service Provider Association. They do, in addition to a variety of events they throw throughout the year, they have this annual award series where they give out awards to the best software, to the best hardware, to the best apps that all fall within the service provider industry. And you can see by the fact that this device won that award, which is only actually the second time in, I think, that since I've been here in the 8 years, it's the second time we've had a device win this award, and the last one was our GXB 3275, which is that really cool Android phone. And this device beat out the Polycom Trio 8500 was finished second. For those of you that know anything or have seen that device, that's actually a really cool conference phone that they came out with, in addition to a Sangoma, Snom, and Panasonic device as well. And I think what this really shows you is how much of the industry, or how much service providers specifically are seeing the industry move to, focus on wireless phones, and a lot of businesses looking to implement entirely wireless-based communication platforms. And so for those, this GXB 1760W is a great option, and as I mentioned, we'll have a couple of more Wi-Fi phone options coming up in the near future. Our GXB Android phones are also Wi-Fi, but we're looking to expand the amount of Wi-Fi phones we have. If you're looking right now for a traditional desktop Wi-Fi IP phone, this device right here is not only the best option that we offer, but it is one of the best options out on the market for a Wi-Fi desktop IP phone. All right, so that's 2 slides there on that device. As I mentioned, I kind of passed over this. Again, 6 lines, 3 SIP accounts, 5-way conferencing, automated provisioning, integrated USB ports, PoE, EHS headset support, in addition to, most notably, its integrated dual band Wi-Fi. All right, so that wraps up that. Now I'm going to spend the rest of the webinar, which hopefully should be about another 15 minutes or so, going through, I'll real quickly touch on our GWN series devices. I know we've covered them a lot in previous webinars. So I'm mainly going to talk about some of the new features, 3 specifically that we've added, including GWN Cloud, which is our Wi-Fi cloud management platform that we will officially launch tomorrow. So the hardware devices within our GWN series you see here on the screen, we've probably, I'm sure, been over them many times before. 3 different Wi-Fi access points. We're in the process of developing additional ones. This GWN series, as you probably have heard me say before, is probably the largest expansion of Grandstream in our company's history, moving from not only being a full unified communications solutions provider, but now also adding Wi-Fi and network solutions to our portfolio to allow our partners and end users, resellers, to do entire deployments to basically furnish their entire office with not only every phone or video conferencing device or PBX or gateway or ATA, to incorporate analog devices or surveillance cameras or facility access solutions that they need, but then also to give, obviously every network needs, or every business needs a network. Wi-Fi networks are more or less ubiquitous nowadays. And now, again, it's another step in our stride to offer complete business communications and now networking solutions. So the 7600 LR you see on the left, that is our long-range outdoor Wi-Fi access point. It doesn't say it there, but that is a weatherproof access point. Gives you up to a 300-meter range, where the other two access points we have go up to 175 or 165 meters. The GWN 7610, second from the left, was actually the first access point in the GWN series. Gives you 175-meter range, support for 250 clients, 1.75 gigabit per second speeds. The 7600, third from the left there, a little bit more of a mid-tier access point, where you have a little bit less in terms of the range, with 165 meters compared to the 7610. A little bit less in terms of speeds, 1.27 gigs per second, but gives you support for up to 450 clients. The 7610 and 7600 are both indoor Wi-Fi access points. Kind of the way I break those down is, if you need to support a lot of clients, which is common in hotels, convention centers, where they're more interested in being able to support a lot of clients, but not necessarily in being able to offer really fast speeds or maximize the speeds. In that case, the 7600 is for you. If you're looking more to offer fast speeds, which is more usually the case in office buildings or business settings, the 7610 is a great option for you, as it gives you up to 1.75 gigabits per second. If you're looking for really long range, or if you're looking to place one outdoors, that 7600 LR is the one you want. GWN 7000, the router all the way on the right, that is a enterprise multi-WAN router. Gives you gigabit VPN, 7 gigabit ports, full VPN functionality through a variety of different VPN flavors. And that device, so the thing you see on the bottom here, and I'll move on to the next slide, is that built-in controller. And we've talked about that in previous webinars, so I won't go into a ton of detail on it. But essentially what we call here built-in controllers, what you see here as embedded controllers, is it allows any of our access points or the router to set up, control, and manage entire networks of other access points. Our router is going to support, I believe it's up to 350 Grandstream access points with its built-in controller, and the access points will support either 30 other access points or 50 other access points. Really the best example to give here is the controller that's, is the access point. So traditionally, with most Wi-Fi deployments, you needed a separate control device called a controller. It was either hardware or software. You had to install each access point, go back to the controller, point the controller to the access point the access point to the controller, basically manually set each one up. You had to go between the interface for the controller and the access points if anything happened or if they needed to be managed. What we have done is built all of the functionality of the controller into the user interface for all of our access points and all of the routers, which allows you to, from the same user interface, the same web user interface that you're going to set up the devices, you can also create, deploy, and manage and see real-time statistics and reports for entire networks of other access points. You'll also, as it says here, you'll see this mentioned in various places as controller-less or a virtual controller, but again, it is all of the functionality needed to set up, manage, deploy, and view in real time or receive reports from your access points, all built into the web user interface for all of our access points and the router. I'll touch on security real fast. I know we've talked about this in the past, so I will get through this. These are three of the, in terms of the security built into our access points, kind of three pieces of security that we've gone above and beyond that we offer that you're not going to find in too many other access points. The secure boot and the anti-hacking, essentially what that is wireless devices, if they know that they've been compromised, they're able to protect every other device and every other network that is integrated with that, and that's what this secure boot is. All of our access points, when they boot up, will verify that its software is uncompromised and in a secure state, and once that happens, the device will automatically then turn on once it knows that it hasn't been altered or basically is completely safe. The digitally signed firmware, what that is before being downloaded onto the device, all new firmware will be validated by that device to confirm that it is genuine, unaltered, and intended for the specific purpose. Basically, that it matches the, basically the access point will verify that the firmware is correct and that the firmware has not been altered and that the firmware is the correct firmware for that specific device. Unique security certificate per device. That just essentially what that is each GWN device has its own unique ID that is created during the device authentication process. That authentication or ID is unique specifically to that device. It is not shared on any other access point. A lot of other manufacturers will have basically, we'll call it predictable security certificate IDs or passwords, so that if you're able to get into one of their access points, usually that password or ID is going to be used on all the others, whereas we put a unique security certificate on every single device. So these are some of the new stuff that we haven't talked about before. You may have seen this. The GWN series access points all have built-in QoS, and that's, again, just to really enable the devices to maximize the connection speeds, maximize the data that's flowing through it, and prioritize, which you can set basically what types of packets, what types of packets or what types of connections are most important to you or to your network. And the best example of this is something that we offer on all of our access points, and this also goes back to the Wi-Fi phone that I was talking about earlier, and a lot of the additional Wi-Fi phones that we are in the process of developing, or the couple of additional Wi-Fi phones are in the process of developing. So what we offer is a feature that we call enterprise voice roaming, and essentially what this is the quality of service is able to prioritize voice packets and connections. So that if you're running a Wi-Fi network or running your, communication, your phone, your voice network through Wi-Fi, you're able to set all of our access points through QoS to prioritize voice over everything else. So that phone calls will always go through, that phone call, basically so that your super critical voice network is not compromised by or slowed down by any other parts of your Wi-Fi network. It's able to do this by basically, it breaks it down into voice, video, best effort, which is basically usage of applications or software, and background functionality, basically any device that is passively maybe using the network occasionally. And it's able to prioritize those and give you the ability to, in this case, to prioritize voice so that your voice packets are going to not be compromised or not be slowed down by anything else going through the Wi-Fi network, and then the devices are obviously then able to prioritize the roaming of a call, especially with that cordless Wi-Fi phone that we have coming out from access point to access point. So that's something we've actually had for a while. I just realized we didn't talk about it here. So now I'm going to wrap up here over the next couple of minutes by telling you what's new. Some new features that we've released for the GWN series of access points and routers. Two new features specifically, one being mesh networks, which is something that we've been asked for a while and that we're really happy to be able to finally offer. Forget what the other one, captive portals. And then the third one is our GWN Cloud, the Wi-Fi, the cloud controller for our GWN series access points that I mentioned earlier. Here we go. I just went through captive portals, mesh networks, and GWN Cloud. It says beta, but it will no longer be in beta as of tomorrow. So captive portals. Here we're talking specifically about our access points. Captive portals, for those of you that aren't familiar with them, is basically just if you've ever logged into or tried to log on to a Wi-Fi network in Starbucks, at a hotel, at the airport, you're going to have a page that comes up that's going to ask you to, either purchase a plan or just log in, provide your email address. It basically is a portal that provides a security barrier for any Wi-Fi networks to allow internet access through that portal, requiring users to sign in. So we currently support the ability to integrate captive portals with WeChat, Facebook, and Twitter. And basically this is for authentication purposes. So somebody would sign into your network using probably here more Facebook or Twitter. Facebook or Twitter will then provide the authentication and verify that, yes, this person is real, their accounts are real, whatnot, before they let you on to the network. You can also request information like, there's a variety of ways you can do this. It doesn't have to be just through Facebook and Twitter. I guess this slide pretty much focuses on that. But you can also do this through preset logins and passwords that you can give out to people. You can do this by asking somebody to enter their email address, variety of different ways. And again, it just provides customers with easy to access internet, but allows you to keep your network secure, monitor who's on it, restrict access to only those that you want on it. And we are continuously offering or developing additional ways to log in with these captive portals. Hopefully soon, you'll see we have it with GWN Cloud. Hopefully soon we'll be able to actually offer you the ability to really customize the design and look of these pages. You can to an extent now put on company logos, your own messaging, et cetera, but we should be able to offer, within the near future, a very easy to use and much more comprehensive editor and a variety of other login options. So again, though this slide pretty much mentions the social media login, we do also give you the ability to create usernames and passwords and give those out, or require somebody to log in by providing their email address. All right, so mesh networks. This is something that we are very happy to have added recently. Just to point it out, because it doesn't say on the slide, our 7600 LR and GWN 7610, I believe, is it 7610? No, excuse me, the GWN 7600 LR, the long range access point, and the GWN 7600, what we call the mid-tier access points, are the two APs now that support mesh networks. Should be able to add it to the 7610 soon. So basically what mesh networks is it's a certain type of network topology, and the little diagram you see there on the left is really the best way to visually show it. It basically allows access points to pass data through the most efficient way possible to ensure a fast, effortless connection. You would connect the central node or the central access point or your router directly to a wired network, and then all of the other access points would then be able to, on that same network, would be able to pass information from access point to access point in whatever way, or back through the central node in whatever way essentially is fastest, most efficient for the network. A mesh network offers you the ability basically to have truly wireless networks. They don't need to rely on wires to communicate between them. You don't need direct connections, wired connections between each access point. If they're on the same network, they'll have the ability to communicate with each other, obviously within the range of that access point, basically without having to send everything back through the chain of the access points and the way they're connected, or back through the central node to have it sent out. The access points can communicate wirelessly through the network, more or less, in whatever way is fastest, most efficient, and most reliable. And as you see down there with the bottom point, sharing connections, I think I just mentioned this. Only one node or one access point or one router needs to be connected to to a wired network. That connected device can then share its internet connection wirelessly between all of the other access points within its range. And obviously, as it says there, the more access points or the more nodes you have available, the bigger network it creates and the more that the devices have the ability to communicate with each other. I know for a lot of you, you probably are familiar with mesh networks already. Just wanted to give a quick little explanation of it. But again, I'm mentioning this here because our GWN 7600 LR and GWN 7600, so both of the 7600 access points basically now support mesh networks, something that frankly is, well, I'll be honest, it's been a little bit lacking. It's one of the major features we didn't have up until now, and it's now fully available on those two access points. See a little bit of it here. I've pretty much talked about all of this already, so I'll move on. All right, so talked about captive portals, talked about mesh networks. Now I'm going to wrap up with GWN Cloud. I should be able to wrap this up here in the next 4 or 5 minutes. GWN Cloud, we've actually talked about it before, so I can fly through a lot of these slides. I think I have about 6, 7 slides left, but I believe they're mostly all pictures with a couple of exceptions. So this is our cloud controller for our Wi-Fi access points. It offers, it basically, again, offers a centralized Wi-Fi management platform available either through a web browser user interface or through our mobile app. GWN Cloud for iOS and for Android. Works with all Grandstream access points. This was launched for beta, an open beta back in February. We will officially announce it tomorrow. The other thing that I actually should be on the slide, this is free. This is a free service if you're using our access points. This only works with Grandstream access points, but this is a free service with no limits on the amount of APs and no limits on the amount of sites that you can deploy. So centralized Wi-Fi management, again, just like I mentioned, no limits on sites or APs, gives you complete scalability because of that. Gives you the ability to access this centralized Wi-Fi cloud management platform from anywhere, either any device connected to the web through a web UI or through the Android or iOS mobile app. It also, as you'll see, gives you full network monitoring and reporting capabilities, the ability to see in real time what's going on, to receive reports broken down by a lot of different factors, by access point, by network, by device, etc. It's enterprise ready. This was developed and really with enterprises in mind, which really makes it such a great option for businesses of any size. It's hosted on Amazon Web Services, gives you a 99.9% uptime, features bank-grade TLS encryption from end to end, and is completely resilient from cloud disruptions. So again, it's a great option for businesses of all sizes. It can support anything from one network with a couple of different access points up to hundreds of networks with thousands of access points. Completely scalable, no limit on sites or access points. And again, gives you a centralized Wi-Fi management platform to manage, for example, a business that might have a variety of different offices, to manage it all from one central location. Or if you just want a centralized cloud management platform for your office that you can very easily deploy devices with, or add devices with our mobile app, or view stats, current statuses through a web user interface or the mobile app. This is a great platform. And again, it is free with no limit on sites or access points. So how does it work? You go to gwn.cloud to register. You can, again, it's a free service. Essentially, all you're going to do is create an account, an email, on a login, and then right away you start adding Wi-Fi APs, to that network. You can do this in a couple of different ways. Our mobile app has a barcode scanner built into it. You scan the barcode on the back of our GWN access points. It will automatically, immediately add it back to your GWN Cloud account, and then you can go back and create networks or assign passwords or anything else that you want to do, add APs to the same network, create VPN connections, etc. You can also do all of this manually through a computer by just typing in the MAC address and a password. You can also actually manually add them from the phone or from the mobile app if you'd rather do that. That bullet point on the bottom there about technical support, that was specifically for the beta test. That is no longer true. We do now offer full technical support for GWN Cloud. Again, it is free. It has no limits on sites and no limits on access points. Gives you the ability to very quickly add access points, and then through a centralized cloud-based interface that you can access from a mobile device or through the web, you can go through and set up networks, add passwords. Anything that you want to do with your networks and access points can then be done through GWN Cloud. So just a couple to wrap up here, a couple of screenshots. I realize that this screenshot isn't showing much usage, but this is when you first log in. The main dashboard that you're going to see, you can create alerts based off of what you want to see, or what the alert section can be completely customized. Gives you a quick update on what's going on, the APs, clients, the amount of clients, the bandwidth usage. You can view reports or view real-time stats and then actually have the device send you reports and statistics, and this can be broken down. Here you see it by access point, where you can see the current status of the access point and also receive reports from that access point, which can also be, as you see, broken down by channel between the two different bands. You can see real-time reports and receive reports on Wi-Fi client summaries, bandwidth usage, the amount of clients broken down by weeks, days, months, across all networks, across one specific network. You can see an SSID summary, basically a summaries per a specific Wi-Fi network, the amount of bandwidth that network is using, the amount of clients accessing that SSID, broken down again by weeks, months, days, real time, what have you. I think this is pretty much the last thing. Might be one or two more slides left. But captive portals, we talked about this earlier with our Wi-Fi access points. We offer, frankly, more comprehensive captive portal support through GWN Cloud. Again, it gives you the ability to create pages that a user would have to log in, submit information, use a login that you provide, etc. To be able to access your network, to provide customers with Wi-Fi, but keep your network safe and actually allow you to collect your customers' information if you want to do so. These captive portals within GWN Cloud, we have a customizable splash page with built-in editors that you can edit these pages to look essentially whatever you want them to look like. We also, in addition to offering requiring email access to log in or providing specific username and password, we also, like we do with the access points, offer Facebook and Twitter integration, logging in with those accounts. Facebook or Twitter will then verify those accounts before they let them in. Multiple authentication options. I just mentioned this: password, email, social media, etc. And one of the final steps that we're looking to add is our own Radius server. Hopefully within probably the next 4 to 6 months, that should be available, and that just offers an extra built-in authentication option for captive portals. All right, so that is pretty much it in terms of content. Just a couple of last things for me to mention. Actually, you can ignore the top two things here. I apologize, I didn't update this slide from the beta test. To sign up, go to gwn.cloud. If you're looking for more information or just some great learning tools, we have developed a great blog over on grandstream.com, blog.grandstream.com. You see the login below. Some of the links or the titles I posted here are some more up-to-date posts that we have specifically related to our GWN series or wireless wireless networking solutions, specifically the one on the top, which we just published last week, with the addition of mesh to our both of these 7,600 access points. Basically a quick article kind of breaking down mesh for you, why it's so important, and talking about how we support it. All right, so I realize, and I see now I went a couple of moments past what I said. I do apologize, but that is it for me today. Thanks everybody for joining, and I will pass it back to Julie.
Thank you very much, Phil, for that wonderful presentation. We enjoyed it very much. And I do have some questions here for you.
Cool.
Let's go ahead and get started with the first one. First question here says, in regards to the GXP 1760W, is this device available for demonstration use?
Is it available for demonstration use? So usually, I think that might be a question that, unfortunately, I might have to direct back at Microcom. I know that usually for not for resale units, we don't have anything specifically, to be honest with you. However, we do, going through the distributor, sometimes have the ability for you to get your hands on one of those. If it is a larger volume opportunity, you can also contact our sales team directly, or even myself. And usually we have the ability to, for the right opportunity, to get demo units out somehow, some way.
Thank you very much for that. Next question. Can you tell me about any comparison with Grandstream? Are there any studies involving competitors like Fanville or Yealink?
Yeah, so we have, through our Reseller Connect portal, which also, if you are a Microcom employee, you do have the ability to access our Reseller Connect platform, which we're actually going to rebrand called Partner Connect. It's a variety of different comparison charts that are up there. Specifically, obviously we have a bunch too that compare our phones directly to Yealink, Polycom, Cisco, Mitel. More along the lines of those. I think there are a couple that do compare also to Fanville. So that's probably the best resource for that. If you, for whatever reason, don't have access to that, if you reach out to me directly, I can also provide those for you.
Thank you for that, Phil. Next question. You mentioned that Grandstream will have or has cordless phones. Can you tell us about those?
Yeah, absolutely. So currently we have, the main thing that we have out right now are decked IP phones, our DP750, which is the base station, and our DP720 handsets. You can pair currently up to 5 of those handsets with the base station. Base station can be located anywhere. We also have, I believe it was in December of last year, we came out with a decked repeater that gives you the ability to basically double the range, get up to, I believe it's 300 meters in range with our deck, by pairing our decked repeater with the decked handsets and the decked base station. So that is primarily, in terms of cordless, that's primarily the option we have now. The cordless Wi-Fi phone that I mentioned early in the webinar, which will be called our WP800, which is currently going through a beta test, we should be able to, the plan is to release that by the end of June. To be honest, there's a chance that it will end up coming in July instead, but that is a cordless Wi-Fi phone, which, frankly, there'll be different applications for both decked and Wi-Fi, but generally Wi-Fi is, a lot more available. It has a lot wider range, gives you the ability to switch or to roam from access point to access point. So currently, sorry for the long-winded answer, we have decked phones as cordless options, and within the next month or so, we will also have cordless Wi-Fi phone as well.
Excellent, Phil. Thank you very much for that. Next question. Are all of the APs dual band?
Yes. All of our access points are dual band, give you either 2.4 or 5 gigahertz.
Thank you, Phil. Next question. Is there a charge per unit for the built-in controller? If not, are there plans that there will be down the road?
So there, the answer to the first question is no. I think maybe the little bit of the caveat in terms of the built-in controller on the access points or the routers is they're limited up to a certain point. So a couple of our access points will go up, give you the ability to control up to 30 access points. One of them will give you the ability to control up to 50. Our router gives you the ability to control up to 300. Frankly, for anything above and beyond that, or if you want more of a centralized option, that's where GWN Cloud comes in, where it gives you the ability to manage multiple sites, or if you'd rather just have a centralized cloud option that you can access in a variety of different locations or on a mobile app. GWN Cloud's great. Also, if you're looking to go beyond 300 access points, or if you don't have one of our routers, if you're looking to go beyond 50 access points, that's where GWN Cloud really becomes a great option. It is free, as I mentioned. There is no limit on the amount of access points or sites that you can deploy with it. We have no plans at any point in time to restrict that. It is specifically for use with Grandstream access points, so it only works with GWN series, both the built-in controllers and GWN Cloud. So 2 different options.
Thank you very much, Phil. A couple more questions. Is there any additional hardware needed to access the network remotely from a home computer, a phone, or a laptop?
If we're talking about managing the network, actually in both cases, no. So if you're talking about like this simple managing and kind of seeing live stats and whatnot, that's available whether you're using GWN Cloud or a built-in controller. That's all a web user interface that you can log into. Obviously, you can make it password protected and whatnot, so that you can log into that either remotely from a computer, or if you're using GWN Cloud with our mobile app. If you're looking to access, like, the other way I could answer that question is if you're looking to access a network specifically that might be running on a GWN series access point, or specifically here, router, for example, a VPN. If you want to set up a VPN connection so that people can access it in other places, you're going to need our router. But other than that, in either case, no.
Thank you very much, Phil. Next question. Does Grandstream do part replacements for devices such as the LCD or out of warranty status?
Sorry, could you ask the question again? I missed the first
Sure.
part.
Does Grandstream do replacement parts for devices such as the LCD for out of warranty pieces?
We do not.
Thank you. Last question here. Can the cloud portal be customized?
Yeah, absolutely. It gives you full customization options. And when I say customization, I mean in terms of naming the access point, all of your access points and all of your networks, whatever you want to name them, configuring, every specific detail or aspect about those networks or those access points, implementing various security features, creating different QoS standards. It all is fully customizable in terms of the features and the functionality of the networks and the access points. You can customize any of that entirely.
Thank you, Phil, very much for answering those questions, and thank you to everyone for attending today's webinar. If you have any other questions, please feel free to contact our sales rep or email us at sales@microcomtech.com. If you wish to view any of the products mentioned or shown today, please visit us at www.microcom.us. Please remember this webinar presentation has been recorded and will be uploaded to our Microcom YouTube channel so it can be viewed again. Thank you again, Phil, for your time today. We very much appreciate it and enjoyed your presentation very much.
Thank you.